Hello and welcome back to the Empowering Family Health Podcast. I am your host, Juliane Thomys. Today we have a fantastic show lined up for you. We are speaking with Juliane Thomys today. Juli is originally from Berlin and she is now currently living in County Leitrim. Her business is Checkin Health and Juli is qualified in Advanced Systematic Kinesiology, and Juli specialises in Bio Kinesiology with a focus on mental health, gut health, hormonal imbalances, and the safe removal of toxins from your body. So today we're going to be talking about how kinesiology looks at the whole body holistically to find out what is really behind a symptom. The biochemical pathways, so from digestion to eliminating toxins and toxic loads, what are these chemicals doing to your body and how does it influence your hormones? Your enzymes, are they working optimally? Nutritional deficiencies in your body, how is that affecting you? We're going to be looking at leaky brain, leaky gut brain connection, and how stress and trauma affect you on an emotional level. But first, watch this video to the end. It really does help with my YouTube algorithms and to get more of this content to people like you. And I'll be giving you a free gift at the end. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you know you're getting new videos. And do like and share this video as well and give me some feedback, and I can give you a shout out in the next video. And today I want to give a shout out to my friend Jim Bordeaux, all the way over in the United States. And Jim is helping me to build my YouTube channel. So I am very grateful to Jim for all his time and everything that he is sharing with me. And he really is an incredible person. And his podcast is the Entrepreneurial Truth podcast. And it's absolutely incredible. I do advise you to check that out. So let's get on with the show. So, Julie, you're very welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Jan. I'm delighted to be here.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, Julie, before we dive into all the exciting stuff, tell us a little bit about the work that you do and really why you've chose, because there's so many modalities out there. Why kinesiology? What's your passion behind that?
Well, that's an interesting question, Joanne. I think it came to me rather than I came to it. And as many other practitioners, really, how I worked in the arts. I have a background in social work long time ago, 30 years ago. So I always worked with people, but personally, I became really sick about 6 or 7 years ago. And nobody could help me. No bloods revealed anything. It seemed like a mystery virus. No other modality could really help me. And I was told you need to see this kinesiologist. I could barely pronounce it. I didn't know what it was. And I went to him, and 3 treatments from a long stretch of 4 months where I literally could just about manage to bring my kids to school and cook dinner. That was all like I was so sick. I thought it was something sinister. And in 3 treatments, he had me up and running again. And it took another half a year where I walked around thinking that was weird and he has the cure or something, until I realized, oh my God, you can study and learn this. And off I went, never stopped, started with the foundation course in systematic kinesiology, did the diploma in systematic, and I could launch in right back into the biokinesiology then, because what kinesiology does, it looks holistically at your body. So coming from all sides, looking at, you could have back pain, for example, and it could be emotional. It could be some trauma that happened to you a long time ago that you do not make the connection with. It could be as simple as dehydration, or it could be a vertebra being out, or the pelvis, being tipped wrong, your hip.
Wow.
Or your cervical spine up here could be out of line, but you have the pain in the lower back. So this is what we are already in the why something is. I suppose this is what we are looking for. You come with your symptom and we'd be looking what is really behind it, And
Because what I can hear there, Julie, is there are, and you mentioned back pain, and a lot of people can relate to back pain. So many absenteeism from work is as a result of back pain. And back pain can be something, any kind of pain can be physical, so you can fall and hurt yourself.
Yep.
But you mentioned emotions as well. So, and for many people, and even if you go to the doctor with a back pain, that's certainly not something he's going to have a look at.
No, no.
And quite a lot of the time, emotions, and we're living stressful lives and very busy lives and chaotic lives, and it translates down into the body. But we're going to unfold all of that as well. But can you tell us a little bit about why kinesiology is so much more powerful than any, some other modalities, or like that there is a lot of great modalities, but in relation to, say, the doctor practice, can you tell us a little bit more, dive into that a little bit more as to why kinesiology, how you can detect, or like a detective, I know you talk about being a detective, tell us, bring us through that process.
Yeah, I suppose, and I have great respect for doctors. My life has been saved surgically twice, already. There's a great room. There is a place for antibiotics, at certain times in your life, and all of that. So I'm not even going to say one is better or the other.
Gotcha.
We are complementing. But what we are doing, and what the difference is, I suppose, is that we look actually underneath the code and at the why. So if you go to your own cupboard with headache, you take a sticking plaster for the symptom of headache, but it doesn't solve. Why do you have that headache? Is it stress? Is it tension? Is it something chemical? Is it dehydration? So again, we are looking for the why. Is it hormonal, for
So many
example?
things, isn't there?
Yeah. So we are looking. So maybe I go into the biokinesiology now. So I upped my game then after I did the systematic kinesiology, and I was thinking something was still missing for me, that kind of the depth of the chemical pathways, what could happen, your toxins in your body, your digestion. So in a first treatment with everybody, it's the same protocol really. I would look, does your digestion work? Which means from your food that goes in, does it really break down into so small that it crosses the wall of the small intestine into your bloodstream? Do you have fuel basically from your food, like a car with petrol? And I check if your liver is detoxing. I check your main toxins, so start drawing them out of your system. So because all of those three things can hugely influence, let's say, your hormonal health. Every pathway, every other chemical pathway can be blocked by those toxins. So if your headaches, if your trouble sleeping, because I know you are an expert in that, is down to that element. For example, if it's not tension, if it's not stress, then you have to treat that part. You have to take out toxic metals, or possibly cow's dairy for some, or parasites. A lot of people have parasites. I cannot talk about that enough. And so you treat the why, and that's the difference. We look underneath, don't treat the symptoms. Even if somebody comes to me and has joint pain, you'd be tempted to think, oh, I give you something anti-inflammatory on a more natural level. It could be a herb, but it's not. It's again, it would only be a sticking plaster, like a headache tablet. So we go underneath, we find parasites, let's say, and so I know already that's connected. Treat the parasites. Don't even look at the joint pain, but the joint pain goes,
That's incredible, yeah, because
Yeah,
the body has to be cleaned out. And I talk a lot about that during sleep, because that's what the body does when we're in a deep phase
yeah,
of sleep. We go through this healing and repairing and detoxifying the body, and the brain as well. There's a lot that goes on in the brain at nighttime when we're sleeping. And I can hear what you're saying there. So somebody has pain, so there's obviously inflammation. There's inflammation behind every pain. There's some
yeah,
element of inflammation, and some inflammation is good, but again, it's coming back to the balance and having too much inflammation, and we can tend to take an anti-inflammatory. But if it's a toxin or a parasite, and we all have parasites, I think, at some stage, don't we? All
a
do.
lot, yeah.
And they're nasty little things. And but I can hear that what the first protocol that you do is remove. So remove all the toxins, the parasites, all the baddies, the bad bacteria, because that will get the body, or it will provide an environment for the body to bring itself back into balance and do the job that it needs to do, basically. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, absolutely. We call it the 4R. We restore your, the whole gut health will be restored, and parts of it is to activate your enzymes, to replace, let's say they're missing, they're not breaking down your food. A lot of people have low stomach acid, but they don't recognize it as low. They have, let's say, this burning, because the interesting snippet of information is low stomach acid produces the same symptoms as too high stomach acid, because your food is not breaking down. The acid doesn't do its job because it's not high enough. So there's all this food sitting right on top here in your stomach area, almost fermenting, rising, that fermented gas, and gives you reflux and heartburn. So people drop an antacid on top, trying to, and yeah. So we are doing the opposite. We are literally going in there and reactivating your enzymes, remove the toxins. If there's any cell damage, the lining of the intestine, we repair that as well. If we find leaky gut, for example. So remove is one part of the initial protocol. Yeah.
And the leaky gut is a very big thing that most of us are experiencing, because our food is not great these days. Our food is convenience foods, processed foods, and even a lot of the foods that are grown and harvested, they're picked before they're ripe. And it's only true when they're picked green, so when it's really only when they're ripened that the nutrients that we require are there. So we're picking them before. So there's all this stuff where there's added salt and sugar and all this stuff to make more flavor in the food. And it's just as detrimental to our bodies. It's really, really bad. And the leaky gut, so many people, and we have so much more sensitivity to food, like dairy, you were saying, that's one.
Yeah, it's huge these days. It's amazing. And I suppose nothing is as clean as it used to be in, our granny's era. There's so much, like there's metals, for example, that don't break down in the soil. So that's how our food becomes contaminated. For example, there could be, even with the good food that we are eating, there could be toxic metals in that. In the fish is storing toxic metals in their fatty. We think we do a great thing eating essential fish oils or something. So if we have a metal problem to begin with, let's say from dental fillings, those dark ones, we might contribute even more to the same problem. So it's a tricky one, or the soil is depleted as well. There's not as much selenium in the soil, which would have gone into the nuts. So now, and I'm not promoting nutrients, but funny enough, a good squirt of something like magnesium or selenium or zinc goes a long way these days for all the above reasons.
Yeah, and I tell a lot of people magnesium, because there's so many people, there's a very high proportion of people that are deficient in magnesium, and magnesium does over 300 jobs in the body, and including help us to relax and sleep. So that's one as well. So so when we have this leaky gut, it can not only have and we have the gut connects to the brain, right? And we have all the brain fog, and then we have all sorts of other systemic, you were talking about headaches and all sorts of other problems as well that can actually be coming from the gut, which is just profound. I think people need to be educated a little bit. You don't have to have a degree, but I think people definitely do need to be educated on what they're doing to their bodies and how it works. And so from there, the physical part of the body, there's emotional stuff. Talk to us about how the emotions translate down into the physical body and how you detect that.
Yeah, I suppose the last year has taught a lot of people to become more aware of it, how stress impacts, and suddenly you have all this indigestion, or like I had a lot of calls and a lot of clients during 2020 now with indigestion, and you can actually, so we have testing modes of if it is emotional, and I would say like the lockdown has taught me stuff too, like 80% of it is actually emotional. So if you treat the mind, we have a toolbox of techniques to de-stress the brain, to even if a client tells me there was trauma, significant trauma in their life, we can create a new path in the brain to not always come back to that default mode of how to act from that part of trauma. So that is really powerful as a standalone technique. We use the old Chinese traditional medicine system, the meridian system. So all our organs are associated with emotions but with meridians in the body. So the meridians, they're energy lines basically. And we use those points on the body, same as an acupuncturist, to take out over energy. Let's say just one little snippet here under your collarbone. There's just a little dip naturally. Basically, I have to raise up, so find your collarbone, and then wherever, it's a bit different on everybody, just below it. It's a natural dip. You can't go wrong. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I can feel it there. Yeah.
So the points are called K27, K for kidney, and so kidney has to do with fear. And so if I find over energy in that meridian, it's as simple as exactly what you are doing there, either rubbing or tapping, about 50 times, 5 times 10. But I used to suffer tremendously from fear of public speaking, like what we are doing now. And I would sit then, and nobody would know things she fiddles a bit, but you can literally energetically change that whole,
And it feels good. It feels really good. And it's not tender now, but I have done this before, and it has been quite tender before, but it feels really good, like a nice massage, and it's like really waking me up.
That and anything to do with a little bit of anxiety, even anticipation for something that you're not sure about. There's no harm, literally. It's just one little thing that you can do in your daily life, and I give that away for every client. Nobody needs to come here for me to do that. Like, I do it obviously if it comes up as needed in the initial treatment, but I'd send you home with a lot of tips of, look, this is for panic attacks, this is for, fear, just for a few little
and that really is quite powerful, because I mean, you can do that sitting in the car while you're waiting on the traffic lights, or when you're in the loo or whatever, you can do this at the time, and just remember to do. And like, how long do you need to do this for? Or just
20-30 seconds. You actually, I know, like, when it's done, because you actually stop. It's done, and you know it. And I just run. I'm probably going off topic, so bring us back in a minute. But I ran a workshop recently for ladies in a center, which was lovely, face to face, and I shared this. So there's a technique, emotional stress release, to draw. So use your frontal lobe, all your forward thinking, the cortex, and if it's completely not lit up, it's not working when you are ruled by fear. So just drawing blood flow to that brain is those 2 points where we would have horns. And if
just
you
above the eyebrows, okay.
If you are completely stressed and or can't make sense of something, 2-3 minutes. And I had a picture of an old healer who just did this too. And you know how we instinctively do this when something happens to us, and we say, oh my God. And it's instinctive. There's so much old knowledge that is innate knowledge, I guess, that, like, I always loved it, because I found this picture of this old lady healer who just did this to a young girl that looked in pain. And I was thinking, oh my God, don't we do exactly this when something...
Or if we forget something, we go, oh my God, put our hand across the forehead, because it draws the blood. Waking up that thinking brain.
Or overwhelmed,
So ESR.
ESR. So there are all the energetic fixes that you do, and people tend to not want to leave from here. They feel so relaxed and say, oh, I could fall asleep here, I always leave enough room between clients to allow for a little bit of extra. So again, coming from the chemical side, your whole gut, coming structurally, we do small structural corrections, like your jaw joint. If that's stressed, we can de-stress that, for example.
A lot of people would find, I find going to bed at nighttime, people would be clenching their jaws, and their teeth would be literally, and that's a sign, obviously, because a lot of people have anxiety at nighttime going to bed, thoughts in the head, worrying, and then the jaw is very tight then, and that has a lot of implications.
So we look what we find. Back to that, we look what we find. We listen to the symptoms as well. You know how you have 7 minutes or so in a doctor, so we take a lot of time to listen, and then we still go and check what we find and treat what we find.
That's really incredible. I love that whole, and I actually studied what was it, Touch for Health, and there was 4 weekends, and I actually missed the fourth weekend. And that was something for me to have a look at, right? And it was so great. And because that was me trying to have control over, because I was just going course mad. I'm always learning anyway. But yeah, so I have an appreciation. I remember that the emotional stress, or emotional stress release,
stress release,
release, and the K27s. I remember that one, all right, yeah. And there's loads, and even just touching the different points on the body, like, and we are energy beings, we are electrical beings. Some people think that's like a bit out there, but I think more and more people are really appreciating it now and recognizing it. And kinesiology is so powerful, because we might be having a symptom for, like what you did, Julie. You were a long time, you were exhausted and you were having whatever illness, and you went to everybody, and it was the kinesiology that actually pinpointed it, because the kinesiology is the muscle testing, as you're saying, and the muscle testing, it's your body actually telling you through a yes or a no answer, through the muscle testing, what's actually where the problem is and what needs to be addressed. And it even goes way beyond that. It's just incredible. I'm like wowed by it. It's like magic, really.
You said it all there. There's not much I can say to that, but how I sometimes explain it to clients, because they're here, they see their response, a muscle collapsing or muscle being really strong, and they don't know what I'm doing. I touch a point, let's say, and the muscle collapses, and I just say, I'm only translating, really. It's the body right there in front of me is telling the story. It's telling what's up. And literally we are translating, which is wonderful. It's the muscle testing really is the tool that we are using,
Well, so you're finding, Julie, over the last couple of months now, with all this stuff that's happening, it's quite challenging for a lot of people. Some people are finding it really great, real peaceful time for them or whatever. But like when you're going into shops and all the rest, it's, for me now personally, I'm like, oh God, I have to follow the arrows and I have to go this way and that way. And it's just overwhelming, right? And I know there is a lot of people experiencing that. But on top of that, people are losing their jobs. There's a lot of worry, anxiety. Do you find, what way has your business changed over the last couple of months?
Yeah, it's definitely, there's even more people looking out for their health now that ring in and kind of feel it's time. It's time to, I hear that a lot at the minute, it's time to take charge, and people, anything from their 40s to up to their 60s and 80s, 70s and 80s, which I find really, really interesting, that trudged on through life for a long time, bore their symptoms, just and never even thought of doing something for themselves. And then, as I touched on earlier, is, let's say I would have had seen a client a year ago or half a year ago, everything was good, health was restored, let's say. And if they come back now and the whole digestion is off again, so a lot of the time it's emotional. It's actually anxiety and emotional. So if you don't address that, you can take zinc or whatever you need to activate your enzymes again. You can do that, but the minute you withdraw the supplement, the nutrient, if the anxiety is not being treated or being dealt with, then your digestion it's like a switch, really. So there's your resting mode in one position, A, resting mode, healing, powerful sleep, all of that, digestion, and then you go and tip it over to flight or fight, really, or freeze, to anxiety.
No, I think an awful lot of people, Julie, are really starting to be responsible for who they are, and including their emotional health, because our beliefs and our thoughts, and this is one thing that really got me on the whole path of health and wellness, was how we think and how we are so powerful through our thoughts and what we believe and our perception of things. And I think right now, because before we were so distracted with work and busy lives, now it's quieting down, so we're looking at things differently, and we're being allowed the space to look at things differently, and people are starting to, like what you just said, they're starting to question their health and wanting to look after their health a bit better. Tell us, Julie, with the lockdowns and all of this, how are you finding clients actually coming to your clinic?
Yeah, so when it happened, when it came upon us in March, and I had just very timely handed in my day job at the time to do this full time, because I was literally on the cusp of knowing this is a full-time clinic, really, and I was splitting myself in two. And so there was me like a rabbit in the headlight for 2 weeks. and thinking, what is happening, universe? And then a lady from literally around the corner rang from County Sligo and said, do you work remotely? And the biggest light bulb of the century went on in my head, because I said, I do. Because I had, I have all my people in Germany. I have, as it happens, a client in Canada, a couple in Switzerland and France. But I just hadn't made that, I just
You
didn't
didn't
flip
think
the
of it.
switch. No, that I can theoretically, in the worst lockdown, can do it for your next neighbor. And I said, I do, and I need a hair sample, and we do a consultation like this, preferably video. You fill in a questionnaire, give me your symptoms, a bit of medical history, and off I go and do all the testing with the hair samples. So this lady, and I'm forever grateful that she rang, switched my, thinking on, and the phone never stopped since. The universe
I've
had my
I've
back.
been one of your clients as
You have,
well,
you
so
have.
we did it as well remotely, and I have to say, Julie, biggest testimonial out there, absolutely incredible. After it took a while for my drops and all that to come to me, but I found them incredible because after a week, yeah, it was after a week, myself and my daughter, because my daughter did it as well, obviously with you, and we started seeing changes in our health, and
That's wonderful.
it was like, oh my God, and I've tried everything else before, and and like that. And she's really responsible now, taking her drops in the morning and what have you, and it gives her a bit of responsibility as well. But it's incredible because it's all energy. And
yeah, but imagine that, Joanne, I'm delighted because you didn't tell me that off camera. I'm so happy too for this online testimonial, obviously. But imagine that, Joanne, this was the first. This was basically what I call the base plate in Lego, the foundation of health. So I did 3 things for you. I looked at your digestion, at your number 1 toxin, where the body says, I'm not happy with that. I know we did a couple of emotional techniques remotely, so you can testify how powerful that is. And I checked
we've frozen
your liver, and depending on what I found, it was fine or I'm back. Okay. And I checked your liver. So depending on if it was a bit out or not, we either treated it or not. And imagine, I'd never looked at your hormones, your thyroid, like your serotonin, not, there's so much more, your energy production, if your actual energy production works, that you wake up and bounce. Methylation is a
and we
big
are
one.
going to be doing a follow-up, Julie, as well, so make sure
and that wasn't a sale, but imagine imagine one treatment alone that you say, well, I can see, it's
and it's important to leave time in between as well, because we did the whole detoxification part of it or whatever, and a few bits, and that's the primary, so that's giving way now, that's priming my body for the next step. And like, this is really the best way to do it, I think, because whatever way you do it, but it's really the best, because you do need to detoxify the body, to clean it. It's like you can't operate in a messy kitchen all the time, you have to clean your kitchen, and that's what it is, cleaning your body, and I'm really looking forward to the next part, Julie.
Wow, it's so cool, Joanne. Thank you for the public testimonial.
No, great, absolutely fantastic. And tell us just in relation to, you mentioned serotonin there, so just in relation to sleep, right, and the serotonin pathways, how does that work? Because that is one reason, we need serotonin, because serotonin makes our melatonin, which is the sleep hormone. So just while I have you, Julie, and you mentioned that now, tell us how that pathway works, or how people may not be producing enough serotonin.
So you know obviously how the breakdown of it. So hormones are made from protein and fat. So a lot of people don't know that, and people that are on constant diets, for example. So if your intake of fat, either your absorption, your digestion is not working, or you are actually not feeding your body. If you're on a complete fat-free diet because you mind your weight or something on a very non-healthy level, then you will have poor quality hormones. So at the beginning of the serotonin pathway is tryptophan, which is an amino acid, which is a breakdown building block of protein. So I always say that needs to come into the body first. If it doesn't come in, then you have a problem already at the very top of that pathway. But let's say it comes in and doesn't break down. So there's a precursor to your melatonin, to the sleep hormone. So I'm going to look at the whole pathway, check if there's enough tryptophan, and then does it break down into the next, into the next, into the next. So and it can be blocked at, let's say, and you probably know that 5-HTP, that precursor to melatonin. So if you don't have that, you will not have enough melatonin at the end to sleep. So let's say you still have that, but you are blocked before serotonin. So you know it, you will know it, because you will not be as happy, waking up, because the happy hormone is just not there. And then, so I find the blockage, and then I go back to what I tested previously. I check, is it blocked by a toxin in your body? Because it could be as simple as it could be from your dental fillings or cow's dairy. So then I inform you, obviously, take out the toxin, flush them out with the nutrient, or advise you to go off dairy. Or it could be emotional, it could be deep-seated trauma. Then I would look at releasing trapped emotions, de-stressing the brain again, going into all the parts of the brain that are stressed.
Detective work.
Yeah, completely. And I tell you a little bit like a mini story, because I literally wake up like this, ta-da, happy life. And in class in Bio Kinesiology, when we studied that pathway, and I was the model, or whatever that's called, like the for studying.
Yeah.
And so they found, the guinea pig, exactly. And they found life there. I have like ample serotonin, but just it doesn't break down enough into melatonin. And I knew that because I had broken night's sleep and everything, but I wasn't aware at the time. Like before that, I was never aware how that happens. And it was very sweet, because the whole class said, don't fix her, because I'm so happy with my high serotonin, don't fix her. And it was lovely, it was a joke. But I knew that, and I still have enough, I'm still waking up happy, but I knew that needed to be fixed in order to actually, for me to get a restful sleep. And the blockage in my case was actually the dental fillings. I had way too many metal amalgam fillings, and it was never going to be fixed unless I addressed the metals.
Wow. Okay, that's really brilliant, and that's so great, because like we have lots and lots of different pathways for different things, and some of them are connected. But in terms of this one here that we're talking about, so you can pinpoint through the muscle testing where the blockage is, where the problem is, which is so brilliant, because people are months and years trying to figure stuff out on their body, what's working, and it might not necessarily be the nutrient deficiency, but it could be the toxin before that.
Completely. Completely.
Wow.
Yeah, we call it cross-checking. You gather like a detective. That's the whole point. You gather there, the digestion doesn't work. There's your toxins. All those pathways don't work, or one or two, and then you cross-check with everything. You cross-check that pathway with your cow's dairy, whatever showed for you, with your toxic metals. It could be chemicals for hairdressers. A lot of hairdressers have trouble getting pregnant. So you'd want to look at their chemicals, for drawing them out of the body. Radiation is found a lot more now. People charge their mobile phones under their pillow.
Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it? And 5G, that's a
huge,
really big one.
Huge.
So listen, Julie, we're coming to the end, and I could talk to you for another hour. This is just fantastic. So Julie, tell us a little bit about a couple of things just to finish off. First of all, tell us how people can work with you, what they need to, how they can contact you if they want to work with you.
Yeah, super. So my website is Checkin Health, all one word, .co.uk, because somebody snapped up the .com. Even though I'm in lovely Leitrim, it is .co.uk, but it's just what it is. And on there, I have a Let's Chat button straight away on the home page, all free. I'm not selling. I'm literally, you can ask all your questions there. Is it for you? What can I do for you? So there's a lot coming through that. Or you can book directly on the website. So currently you need to look ahead, obviously, till after the lockdown, or book the remote testing and treatment. So you get exactly what we said earlier. You get the full consultation, you get the exact testing one after the next, and you get a full extensive treatment plan. You got that, Juliane? Sure, I sent that to you. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so
So
you
great.
you know exactly, and so you get the exact amount of work as if you'd be here in my clinic, bar that I cannot, let's say if you have a vertebra out of line, I cannot click that in for you from here. That's the one thing I cannot do. But if it's emotional, energetic, or chemical, which most things really are, I find very little structural problems, to be honest. Then you can work with me easy as that. You can follow me on Facebook, Checkin Health. I give away tips of the trade every week, you know, talk about toxins, talk about all your organs and health. And so there's always stuff to learn. Instagram, yeah, Checkin Health. That's what it is. You find me there.
I can hear that you're so passionate because, I mean, you really want people to have a better life for themselves and their families. And I can hear all the information that you're giving to people and really helping people, give them what they need and really create that curiosity in people as well. So I think when we become curious that we ask the questions and you're providing that for people, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So if I was to ask you one last question, Julie, to really have people be empowered, what final message, takeaway message do you want to leave with our listeners that would really have them empowered so they can take control of their lives again?
Well, that's putting me on the spot now, but but at the same time, if I look back at last week at that workshop where I was and I talked about mental health and there was a room full of ladies and it turned out into something beautiful that literally the room of ladies acknowledged how they were suffering from anxiety and how they are on medication. And one lady said, I don't even know if I need it anymore, you know, and you pick up your prescription every week. And that was an eye opener for everybody. It was a wonderful moment in that room, you know. And I suppose, so the message is something like to really question where things are coming from, to not assume this is old age or this is young motherhood or parenthood. I'm so tired all the time, because to actually not assume that we do not, I really believe we do not need to feel tired all the time. We do not need to feel anxious. This is not a status quo. To question where it's coming from and to look for solutions, for alternatives.
You know, Julie, that is powerful. I really love that, to question, because like what I was saying earlier on, the power of the mind, and we believe what we believe, and we all have our own perceptions. But if you question those beliefs, because even what we're saying to ourselves in our own beliefs, they're not always true. It could be coming from what somebody else told us. So I really get what you're saying, and it's really powerful to question what it is that you're thinking, and question where you are in your life. Beautiful, brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah.
So Julie, oh, I could talk to you for another hour. Really could. So exciting. So Julie, listen, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for sharing all your information and your wisdom and telling people about the work that you do. And really have a great day today. And we will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Juliane. It's wonderful.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you.
So welcome. Bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye.